Welcome, everyone, to the August 22nd, 2019 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you all please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm Barb Lewis, President. To my left is Commissioner Jeff Benton, our Vice President. To my right, fellow Commissioner Gary Merrill, our Administrator Mike Fromer, and our Clerk Sarah DeNovo. We can begin.
Resolution number 19-814, in the matter of approving the electronic record of the proceedings from regular meeting held August 19th, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 814. Mr. Merrill? Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Vinton?
Aye.
We have no public comment this morning. Resolution number 19-815, in the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates and payments of warrants on batch number CMA PR 0821, memo transfers and batch numbers MTA PR 0821, and procurement card payments and batch number PCA PR 0821.
So moved. And second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 19-815. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-816, in the matter of accepting and approving the Delaware County Sheriff's Office Transport Report for the month of July 2019.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 19-816. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-817, in the matter of approving the utility easement agreement by and between the Board of County Commissioners of Champaign County, Delaware County, Madison County, and Union County, Ohio, and the Union County Council of Governments for an easement across the Central Ohio Youth Center site in Marysville, Ohio.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
I didn't know if Attorney Gray wanted to say anything, but we did vote on this at our last, at our board meeting last week at the Central Ohio Youth Center. This is
Okay.
really a routine easement that goes across the front of the property, and it needs to, administratively, it needs to be approved by all the things, so I'll turn it over.
This easement is a request by the Union County Council of Governments, which consists of the Union County, City of Marysville, and the Marysville Village Exempted Schools. I've got that name crossed out, but it's the Marysville School Districts. They've been working together to develop, enhance a fiber optic cable system through and around Marysville. This is an easement, a request for an easement that would go across some county land, the COYC site, and end at the City of Marysville Water Tower, which is just north, or I guess north of the COYC site. Ultimately, there'll be an opportunity for the COYC to make access to that fiber optic system. So it's a request for this easement lies just outside of an existing natural gas line easement and just adjacent to it.
Okay, could you just give your name for the record?
I'm sorry, my name is Thane Gray. I'm an assistant prosecutor in Union County.
Okay, oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Did you have anything else to add?
I believe it will be an underground easement rather than on poles.
Okay,
If
okay.
you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does allow for the Central Ohio Youth Center to eventually connect into it and access the high-speed fiber optic lines that'll be right there, and easier than it would be otherwise, and less expensive, so it's a good idea.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 19-817. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
Sure.
That's Gary's, okay. We'll get these signed for you. That's the only one that, okay. Gary's on the other one there.
Oh, you're on there. There you go. Yeah, yeah. Great. It's better than snail mail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Resolution number 19-818, in the matter of accepting an allotment of tickets to the Delaware County Fair from the Delaware County Agricultural Society.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Communications Director. We have before you the annual resolution. The Agricultural Society has been kind enough to donate 3 box seats worth of 8 tickets each for us to use during the county fair. So we recommend approval.
Okay. Vote.
Vote on motion 19-818. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-819, in the matter of approving a service agreement between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Guide Studio Incorporated for a Delaware County's campus sign plan.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This before you is, it's really the second phase now of the wayfinding project that John Melvin and I have been working on for some time. Last year, as you may recall, we sort of went through developing the master plan where they essentially did an assessment of our strengths and weaknesses with the signage that we have or don't have, as the case may be, for our sites. This phase now will get into the actual design of what we're going to do. A conceptual framework would be the first part, coming up with something that's going to be consistent across all of our properties. We're focusing primarily on the main campus and Willis for this one. They will come up with guidelines that then we'll be able to implement with the Bixby campus when that comes online. But the idea is that our signage will become consistent and that we're also going to come up with the signage that people actually need in order to find their way to our buildings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so.
That would help.
It's working again with Guide Studio, the folks who did our branding project and did the phase 1 on this last year, so.
We still plan at some point to entrances to our county, welcome to Delaware County.
That would be a completely different one, and we'd have to coordinate with ODOT on that, is my understanding, but that,
It's not just on the ODOT road, but there's, wherever it's appropriate, obviously, but that would include ODOT, obviously.
yeah, I mean, it seems like with other counties, it's generally on the main thoroughfares, which in our case would be 71, 23. I don't think 315 would really
36,
qualify. Potentially 36, 37 going across. I think all of those would be ODOT, I think, under their jurisdiction. But that would have to be an entirely separate project, yeah.
Okay.
But we can, I think once we get past this, we can look into maybe budgeting for it
So
potentially
they know what
next year.
county they're in?
Pardon?
So everybody knows what county they're in?
Yeah,
I think we sometimes get confused with Columbus or whatever,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So
right,
identifying
right.
the county and letting
Right.
people know,
That is, I do
I
like
think would be a
At OECC, we're planning on building a storage tank, so we could always put a mural on the side of that as well, so.
okay.
Thank you. Vote.
Vote on motion 19-819. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-820, in the matter of reappointing members to the Job and Family Services Community Planning Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This is reappointing 4 members of the committee. This is the one that the previous JFS director, Dave Dombrowski, had revived. Bob Anderson has continued it, and he says that all 4 of these members, Dave Hemanowski, Amy Hill, who represents Mental Health and Recovery Services, Chris Hodge from Developmental Disabilities, and Greg York, who's a resident serving as an at-large member, have all been very active and contribute to the committee. So recommending your approval of their reappointment.
Okay, vote.
Vote on motion 19-820. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 19-821, in the matter of adopting Delaware County Community Enhancement Grant Program requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Brad Lutz, Director of Business Operations, Financial Management. Before you is really codification is not the right word, but formally adopting the rules and requirements and process and procedure for the Community Enhancement Grant Program. You all have been operating this program now for several years as a commission, preceding even your elections. And those preceding years, obviously, you've come up with a number of requirements that have been passed on to the agencies, And obviously, as the program evolved, there's been new rules and so forth. I don't want to say restrictions, but just things that we want to make sure that the money's being spent correctly. So for example, one of the things that we discuss in this policy is the emphasis on capital improvements versus operations and those types of things. And once again, these have all been conveyed to these organizations piecemeal over time, but we felt that it was important to bring it all together in one policy. So obviously, after this latest round in the spring, staff got together, came up with a draft. We discussed that with you individually, so you each were able to make your comments, and then we, of course, brought that together into this document, which we feel makes it very clear the types of organizations that are eligible for these grants, the types of programs within these organizations that we believe would be appropriate uses of the money, should they be awarded, and then finally, what they need to do to physically get the money from a financial/auditing standpoint.
Okay, thanks for your work on this, Brad.
I think this will be a big help going forward. We'll just clarify a lot of things that are either word of mouth or piecemealed out. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be beneficial going forward.
Right.
Thanks.
Just clarify everything and, yeah, so people know the rules. Vote.
Vote on motion 19-821. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We can jump ahead to administrator reports.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to bring up, Dawn and myself and Marissa had a chance this morning to go over to Job and Family Services. They had a one-year celebration breakfast that Bob Anderson's been here a year, and him and his leadership team cooked and made a breakfast for the staff. We're going to be posting, I think, on our media later. We got a nice family picture of them all there. I will tell you, they are the most organized group to get together of 60 people very quickly for a photo. It took about a third of the time that it would take for any other group of that many people.
Yeah.
That part of the job description?
I don't know, they just, Marissa said, hey, everybody get together on that wall for a photo, and within like a couple minutes, we were taking the photo. It was pretty amazing. So, anyway, a lot of laughter. Dawn and I were talking, the morale seemed very good in the room, and, just wanted to report that, so.
Oh, that's great. Mr. Benton?
Just a couple things. I just wanted to mention again that we all three, everybody basically attended the public defender discussion on Tuesday evening. That was very interesting, very informative. I really appreciate, as we indicated then, all the judges showing up and
Yes.
being prepared and having very well thought out remarks on ways they would like to consider making some changes going forward. Again, the state has announced 100% funding, which doesn't quite translate to 100%, but it's close. And so it gives us a good chance now to make some real strategic changes to a program that needs changes. I think everybody acknowledged,
Right.
I think we would acknowledge, everybody said this program needs
Yes.
to be addressed, and I think we will address it. And I want to thank everybody for working on that. Eric led the charge from our side, and again, it was well prepared, well thought out, well presented, and we will move forward. So
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
a very good discussion.
It sure was.
Yeah, the only other thing, we got Records Commission tomorrow morning, routine meeting, so.
Okay. Commissioner Merrill?
Regarding the public defenders, I thought it was outstanding, and Eric and I exchanged an email yesterday that it was his suggestion that perhaps we provide some direction as far as getting a timeline together, et cetera, and I don't know, Eric, any comments you want to make?
Butler. In terms of a timeline, I think we can work at that at a staff level, but just to give the commissioners an idea of what we're going to be doing, I have not had a chance to talk with Brad and Patrick after that meeting, but the idea based on that meeting was to gather the additional information from some of those comparable counties that were recommended, analyze that information, perhaps based on that information, seek out some guidance from the state in terms of so we can get a little bit of a more definitive idea of what it would really cost, and get a couple of different scenarios put together so that we can formulate a formal recommendation. The idea would be that we would do that within the next month or so, and include the attendees at the meeting, all of the judges and the others who provided input, to get some additional feedback from them, and then present a formal recommendation as to what we can do.
Great. No, that's perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Brad, too, for your
Yeah, the cost
financial expertise on this, so appreciate it. Yeah. No, thank. Best guess. Yeah, best guess.
I can actually speak a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So Barb obviously had the great idea at the meeting to work Patrick. I hate calling him Patrick the intern. That feels very medieval.
Or
but
John
whatever.
Glenn.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
having Patrick work on this project. So actually, I spent, I would say, a good 45 minutes with him yesterday, and we discussed in depth what we were looking for from the State Public Defender's Office in terms of information, but also in
Right.
response to the question brought up about them actually evaluating what our potential need would be if we did a county public defender office. Then what I did was I took the complete list of Ohio counties, and I had 2017 numbers to work from. They were on the State Public Defender's website in terms of total caseload. So what I did was I picked the 10 counties that were closest to us in population by ranking, and the 10 counties that were closest to us in ranking by caseload, and then added on the 2 counties that were mentioned by the prosecutor that didn't fall already within that list.
Okay.
2 that she mentioned fell within that grouping. 2 were outside of it. That brought up 10 total counties that run county public defender offices that are either, once again, close to us in population or close to us in caseload. And I instructed Patrick to start contacting those county public defender offices with about 5 or 6 questions to start gathering the data. So,
Oh, that's great.
but to Eric's point, I imagine this will take, some time just because of, there'll be obviously phone tag and,
Sure.
we'll have follow-up questions inevitably and those types of things. So, but yeah, we started on it right away.
Sure. Boy, thank you very much.
We heard a lot of really, really good information in those 2 hours,
did.
and trying to assimilate all of that, and I think we all left there feeling there's possibilities that we hadn't considered before,
Right,
so I think
right.
speaking for myself, and your nods tell me we're all very interested in where this takes us.
Right. Oh,
Wherever it may be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there are there are a lot of different ways of doing this across the
Right.
state, so.
Right. I really like the approach, then gathering all the facts, doing the research, and then we'll be talking about options. So that's great. It was an excellent meeting. I did see the county prosecutor yesterday, and she remarked on, she thought that was one of the best meetings she'd been in. She really appreciated everybody being here, all the judges were here.
all the judges.
So it was.
We don't have many opportunities to get together with the judges
That's
because of their
right.
schedules.
That was nice.
We had
Right.
to do it in the evening for that reason.
Right.
And I thought it was something we should be very proud of, and frankly, very proud of the judges we have in our county,
Yes, oh, absolutely.
and prosecutor.
Yes, first class.
I have 2 other very quick things. Course the meeting tomorrow, which I plan on attending, and 1 o'clock is our legislative elected officials meeting, and Andy Brenner and Mr. Carvana, they're very, very good at attending, and it's always very insightful and very helpful, and I always like to, at least before those meetings, to say thank you to them, and I know they'll be there unless they have a conflict, so.
It is good communication,
Yes,
both ways. Find out what's going on there and what our concerns are.
And that's all I have.
okay. I was at Bridges Community Action meeting last night, and they are continuing their search for a new executive director after the current director retires, and so that's moving along, and nothing else to report. I did talk with Bob Anderson after that, and he mentioned, it's been a year. I said, oh my gosh, it's been a year. So he said things are going very well, but he's just doing a marvelous job, so really glad to have him.
And we can reinforce what you just said. I ran into him a couple days ago. He's always smiling.
He is.
He's got a
Yeah.
fantastic attitude, and I think he brings a fresh approach to our county. I think we're very fortunate to have him.
Yes, I do, yes. I do too. We,
Can I offer a suggestion?
yes,
We're going to have a hearing at 10 that's apparently going to take just a couple of minutes, so if we recess, we ought to recess probably till 10:10, so we don't have another void in time. And whether we go into executive session now is a possibility, I suppose, just my thoughts.
Makes sense?
Your choice.
all right, so 10:10 recess and,
Okay.
yeah,
We'll
until
recess until 10:10.
10:10. Okay.
Recess or executive
All right,
session?
now are we, I don't know, executive
Do
session.
we have to recess this meeting to go into executive, or we come out of executive and we'd recess we need to, I assume?
We have something that would fit nicely into this time slot.
Go ahead and adjourn into executive session, and you can come back and do our hearings.
But the point is, we don't need to be here till about 10:10 because of
Okay, so I'll read the resolution for
Yes,
executive.
yes, sounds good.
Resolution number
Thank you.
19-822, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of employment promotion of a public employee or public official for collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-822. Mr. Benton? Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye, we are now recessed into executive session. Just say,
Sorry, I already turned it on. I already turned. Would you like
okay.
the resolution to waive those rules? I'm going to skip right over that.
Okay.
Resolution number 19-823, in the matter of adjourning out of executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-823. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-824, reconvening of public hearing for the consideration of Life Point Church watershed drainage improvement petition.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 18-824. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
The hearing's now open.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brett Bacon, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. I promise this is probably going to be one of the shortest and easiest first hearings you'll ever have. So you have received an email from Adam Wallace, representative of Life Point Church. Adam has stated that the church has acquired the downstream parcel, which was the subject of the area of work, and as such has requested that the petition be dismissed on the grounds that it's no longer necessary. We would concur with that and recommend the petition be dismissed on those grounds.
Based on that, I suggest we close the hearing.
Okay. Resolution number 19-825, in the matter of closing the public hearing for consideration of Life Point Church watershed drainage improvement petition.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-825. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Then I have to read two more. Resolution number 19-826, in the matter of the Commissioners dismissing the Life Point Church watershed drainage improvement petition due to the project not necessary.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-826. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-827, in the matter of approving the cost incurred by the county engineer in making preliminary reports for the Life Point Church watershed drainage improvement petition be paid from the bond of the petitioners.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-827. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Moving on to the next one.
Moving on to our next hearing.
Resolution number 19-828, Final hearing for the Homesteads at Scioto Reserve Section 1 Drainage Maintenance Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-828. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-829, in the matter of approving for a specific concurrence, a suspension of Rule 3 speaker registration, Rule 4 limitations, and Rule 7 public comment procedure from the rules governing public comment before the Board of County Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-829. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Yours.
Good morning, Brett Bacon again, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. I'm going to read the final hearing report into the record. It's a short one, so it seemed like the easiest thing to do. So.
All right, thank you.
This report has been prepared for the final hearing on a drainage petition filed by Ron Gagne and others on November 1st, 2017. The petition was signed by representatives of 5 of the 93 units. The general location and course of the requested improvements is stated on the petition as follows. In Delaware County, Concord Township, in Homestead at Scioto Reserve, and following the existing course and terrain of the improvement shown on the document labeled Exhibit C. This petition specifically asks for replace, repair, or alter the existing improvement as required and to maintain these improvements per attached Exhibit C and associated engineering design plans. Petition process. This petition has been submitted according to Section 6131 of the Ohio Revised Code, which authorizes the county commissioners to act on behalf of benefited property owners to make drainage improvements as requested by the petitioners. Should the commissioners find in favor of the petition, the existing stormwater drainage system will be placed on the Delaware County Drainage Maintenance Program in perpetuity per Section 6137 of the ORC. The special maintenance assessments that follow this action would appear on each parcel's property tax duplicate semi-annually. The cost of maintenance would average 2% to 3% annually of the current value of the infrastructure and is divided equally among the benefiting parcels. The decision to approve a petition is a 3-step process. First, a viewing of the proposed drainage petition is conducted for the commissioners to familiarize themselves with the site. The commissioners conducted the viewing for this project on February 12, 2018. Next, a preliminary hearing is held to consider the feasibility of the requested improvements as well as consider the potential benefits. This hearing was held on April 5, 2018. Upon approval at the preliminary hearing, a second and final hearing is scheduled for formal consideration of the request based on the findings of the county engineer's office after a detailed review of the existing drainage system and associated engineering. It is the second and final hearing that is before us today for the Homestead at Scioto Reserve. Existing conditions. The Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District performed an inventory and evaluation of the existing stormwater drainage system. No significant deficiencies were identified that would require corrective action prior to acceptance into the Delaware County Drainage Maintenance Program. Maintenance and construction cost estimate. There is no construction element necessary for this project. The annual maintenance assessment for each of the parcels would be estimated as follows. Estimated current value of original improvement, $485,700.43. Per lot share of current value based on 93 lots, $5,222.59. The annual maintenance assessment per lot is calculated by multiplying the per lot share of current value by the percentage to be collected. For the initial 3% collection, this produces a per lot maintenance assessment of $156.68. Based on all of the recommendations. Based on all of the information gathered for this petition request, I believe that the petition should proceed. It is my opinion that the benefits of the proposed petition exceed the estimated maintenance costs and would be conducive to the public welfare. Should the Board of Commissioners choose to move forward with this project and affirm the order to proceed, I would request a separate resolution that the Homestead at Scioto Reserve subdivision be accepted into the Delaware County Drainage Maintenance Program and that the schedule of assessments be approved and confirmed as submitted. I would also request that a 3% collection rate be certified to the Delaware County Auditor for special assessments for the Homestead at Scioto Reserve subdivision to begin in January 2020. If the Board of Commissioners chooses to dismiss the petition, I would recommend a resolution reflecting that decision and that the cost for the proceedings, including the costs incurred by the Board of Commissioners, the county engineer, and the Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District in making the reports and schedules be distributed to the benefiting landowners in the same ratio as determined in the final estimated assessments presented at this hearing.
Thank you, Brett.
Welcome.
And welcome, everyone, to the final hearing of the Homestead at Scioto Reserve, Section 1, Drainage Maintenance Improvement Petition. And we have just heard the report of the engineer in soil and water. Any questions from the board at this time? I'll then hear from anyone in favor of the petition, then I'll ask if anybody's opposed to the petition, and then during the testimony, before the testimony actually, I will ask you to take an oath, and we can, the board can then ask any more questions, and then after listening to everybody, the board will decide whether to find in favor of the improvement, affirming the order, and confirming the maintenance assessments. Or the board may dismiss the petition by setting aside the order. And the board considers the following in our decision: whether the board hereby finds that the proposed improvement is necessary, that it will be conducive to the public welfare, and the board also finds that it's reasonably certain that the cost of the proposed improvement will be less than the benefit. Yeah, okay. So is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the petition?
I wish to ask some questions.
Okay, just, you may take the dais.
Thank you.
Please, sir. And I am going to swear you in because you will be making certain statements, I'm assuming. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Certainly do.
Great. And if you could just state your name and address.
My name is Ron Gagne. It was properly pronounced. I don't use it that way, but it was properly pronounced. Thank you, Commissioners, for hearing us today. I appreciate it very much. And I sent a letter that I don't know if you have it, thank you, with some questions, and that was before I received this document today. This is the final hearing report dated May 16th, 2019, which would have answered many of the questions that I asked in my letter, and it does now.
Okay.
The first I have is this assessment that's been calculated at 3% of the total value of the drainage structure, is that subject to an annual increase?
We could answer that, but I think it's better let the expert answer.
Brett?
I think we'll let the expert answer.
Maintenance assessments are evaluated annually, and we examine the balance of the maintenance account and the projected needed work, and project that out and look at 5-year cost estimates. So maintenance assessments can go up or down depending on how much work needs to be done on a project, or a lot of times what Mother Nature has done to us that causes unanticipated expenses sometimes. But yes, the assessments can be adjusted up or down annually, and those percentages are approved by the board on an annual basis.
But typically, there's not annual changes, I'm guessing, correct? Or
I don't know if it's fair to say that. I mean, we look at every single project individually. We want to collect enough money under maintenance to cover the projected costs for a given year, as well as the law would stipulate that we should have up to 20% unencumbered in the maintenance account of the original project value. So we try to grow that by about 1% annually. So we'll adjust those numbers as necessary to make sure that we're doing that.
Are those numbers, is it possible to say whether the amounts vary widely or greatly, I should say?
We try to not have any percentage go up more than 25% of the percentage in an annual or on a given year. So if a 4%, just for an easy math calculation, if 4% is being collected one year, we would not raise that to any more than 5% the next year.
I'm trying to speak from the perspective of I think what he's trying to find out, I think he's probably president of the association. I think what he's trying to find out is, are they at risk of having any huge fluctuations in this number.
No,
year to
we
year.
try to
And I think
avoid
that's
the-
what.
yes,
And I'm not sure your
absolutely.
answer really is being reassuring to that, but.
We avoid the huge fluctuations, and that's the goal of maintenance, you know, the idea of the maintenance account and trying to collect that money over a number of years rather than, you know, letting it stay static, and then all of a sudden you need to do something major under maintenance, and then you're going back to the landowners asking for that money all at once. The goal of maintenance is to collect that gradually over a number of years.
Would you typically do some work each year?
Absolutely. Every project's inspected annually at a minimum, and then those inspections are what determine what work needs to be done. In addition, we're also responsive to landowners' requests. If a landowner sees something that's deficient in the system, you know, we like to say that we're out at every project at a minimum once a year, sometimes multiple times a year, depending on the needs of the project, but the landowners live there 365 days a year. So we rely heavily on them to let us know if something's going on.
So the cost of that work, the annual work, whether it's just routine clearing of ditches or whatever, is charged to the maintenance account?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And another factor you didn't really focus on, but you mentioned, I think, 20% is kind of the target, 20% of the initial
Yes.
construction costs is. So if the fund balance, the maintenance balance is approaching 20%, you're going to scale the assessments back.
The assessment is dialed back, yes.
Do you have an estimate? I mean, if you collect 3%, do you typically spend 1% on routine maintenance, or do you not have?
I really don't have that level of analysis.
Okay.
I will say that the 3% that's been requested or proposed for this project is based on, as our staff went out and did their inspections, we identified some areas of work, nothing that needs a construction assessment, but specifically there's some flood routes that have been neglected and have had some obstructions placed in them. We're kind of taking a wait-and-see approach based on our conversations with the landowners, but our feeling is we need to be prepared to, I'll say, restore those flood routes if the conditions deem necessary. And so that would be the 3% versus a 2% collection initially.
So is the 2% versus 3%, I mean, is 3% more typical in new non-construction assessments, or is it 2?
We're finding that the 2% collection that we have traditionally relied upon is not sufficient for those newer projects. You know, the project's just coming on maintenance, so to cover our initial costs, we often see a higher level of cost kind of right out of the gate, just bringing things up to standard. So the 3% is probably more reflective of the amount that gets spent.
But if it's 2%, you'd have to address it yearly at a bigger number because you wouldn't have the funding there, I'm guessing, or?
Well, the project balance would likely go into the red is what we would see. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay. You may have another question, too.
Just comments regarding the choosing 2 or 3%. I think I just heard the reason for 3%. But, you know, us board members are responsible for identifying any project, whether it be our own expenses for whatever, an improvement within our community, or such as this, that whenever we are reaching into our community members' pockets for more money, we don't just announce it, we have to sell the idea, you know, that it's a good use of their money for us to ask for their spending more of their money. We are an old, over 55-year-old participants are over 55 years old. Some are on fixed income, some are not, some are comfortable, some are not. And I had a neighbor come up to me, really walked up to my front door and said, we're going to have to move because of this, not this particular thing, but whatever we asked them to spend more money, whether it be on our maintenance fees or a special project like this, we're going to have to move. I said, well, I'm really sorry to hear that. She said, well, we just can't afford it anymore. All right, I understand. I mean, it's, you know, where you choose to live and what you can afford to spend is certainly your business, and, you know, we can't change that because the community voted to spend this money, as we did here. When we were first approached, as I said in my letter, it was about $64 a year assessment, and then that number increased to close to $100, and now $156. And so the pushback has been sufficient enough for us to ask for perhaps 2% or something less than that 3%, because it's a hardship. I mean, not everybody can afford it. I don't want any more neighbors coming to see me and saying, we're going to have to move, or we're going to have to make a decision. So, I mean, if they do, they do. I mean, that's, again, it's outside of our judgment and ability to assess that. But it was a surprise to all of us to see an increase from what was estimated in 2018 to a 64% increase in that in 2019. It was not a pleasant surprise, but certainly not expected. So, and we weren't given, at the time when I wrote this, July 31st, at the time, I didn't have any basis for understanding why that number came to be what it was. We didn't know about 2% versus 3%. We just had no information about that, which is outlined in the document that I was given this morning, the final hearing report.
On that point, the first hearing report does say that 2% collection rate would produce an assessment of $101.
101, it's around $100, that's
Yeah.
correct, yes, sir.
And that, so it is, and it said the typical assessment is 2 to 3%, and it, you know, and doing the math, it would be roughly $150 plus.
If it was chosen at 3%,
Yeah.
yes.
So, and this letter went to all the people. Now, again, a lot of them, I'm sure, didn't read it. It's a long, complicated document, but the numbers are there to say, you know, that it was going to be $101 at 2%.
Yes.
That was a year and a half ago, roughly, when
That's
the
correct.
first hearing report was made.
Sure. I understand that.
Yeah.
But when the letter came out to, the certified letter was delivered to the homeowners, that was the first time that anyone in our community knew that it was going from $101 to $156. That was never explained to us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand. But in the first hearing report, it does say it's going to be 2 to 3%, and 2% is 101. So, and I guess, now, again, people probably didn't read it, but it is right there, you know, that it could be $150 plus. So,
Could have been, but it could have been less.
oh, sure.
So are you saying then?
Yeah, and where do you want to
Yeah,
go with
where do you
this?
want us to go with
Well,
this then?
where I'd like to go is to be able to bring this information that we learned today to our board meeting, a regularly scheduled board meeting on Monday, to get the whole board to approve. I hope it's approved.
Yeah, let me ask our attorney on that.
I think we can continue
We
it.
can do that. The thing is, we're bound by certain rules to follow a time schedule, but we'll ask our counsel.
Hearing if you need additional information, so you're able to do that.
Okay, we're able to do that.
You just have to fix that date today. You won't be able to
Okay.
decide that in the future. You'd need to establish what that date for the continued hearing would be.
Okay. Okay.
What's the date? Monday, 26th? Yeah, I'll be sure to, if you give me a contact, phone number or,
We'll set a day going forward.
Yeah, we'll set a date now.
you'll set a date.
Right, we'll set it now,
but I should know,
based on your,
But after Monday.
I should know by Monday afternoon, the 26th, and I could let you know by Tuesday morning.
okay, I think we're going to have to
Today, we
push
have
it.
to fix a set date and time to continue the hearing too.
I understand, thank you.
So we'd probably be talking more like, what are the dates?
Thursday, October 7th at 10:30.
Okay, Thursday, October 7th at 10:30. Okay.
You have to wait till then?
Yeah, yes.
October
Yeah.
Okay?
October 10th. I'm so sorry.
October 10th?
October 10th? let me check too.
Let's check our calendar.
Yeah.
That won't work for me. I'll be, well, that's on Thursday. That may be okay.
We're here for the Hoover number 61 petition anyway.
Oh, are we, on the 10th?
Yes.
Okay,
'Cause I don't leave till next day.
That'll
okay,
be the first hearing for that one.
all righty.
I just,
Eric's got a point.
Yeah, I do want to just mention that having a decision waiting until October to make a decision, you will miss the certification date for the assessment, so the assessment will not be able to go on and be collected until 2021.
What's the cutoff? September 30th?
Earlier than that, it's the first full week of September, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
is there a reason we have to wait till October?
I think today when you were all three going to be here.
Would you repeat that, please? I didn't hear you.
She said that she picked a date when all three commissioners would be present. There's some absences known in September.
But I do think we have to be cognizant of that fact. So what is the date?
I think it's the 9th. I think the assessment deadline is the 9th.
Yes.
Yeah, we would have to have everything certified to the auditor by the 9th.
So that leaves one meeting. That'd be the
Monday.
5th?
Monday or the 5th.
Does the 5th work
Monday's too late.
Monday, which day?
for you?
Which month?
9th,
September the 5th.
let's see.
You're out of town.
Is that Labor Day? Is that Labor Day?
No.
Labor Day is on the 2nd.
I don't know if that's acceptable or not. Is the 9th acceptable?
Is the 9th acceptable?
'Cause that's-
September?
That's the deadline.
That's the deadline.
Right.
So, no, we can't make it.
I'm here.
Is there a way to communicate in writing before that date?
But we have to have a.
Yeah, we have to have a hearing.
See, this is what you run into
So
with this.
That's our challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Does it have to be on a Monday or Thursday?
No.
We could do a different day here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You here for the 5th, Bart?
Oh, it's got to be, oh, you're good.
Yeah, yeah, leaving next Wednesday. And then, no, then June 5th. I don't want to discuss. Yeah.
What about next, Jeff's going next week.
Boy, I tell you, we're kind of stuck on this, and
Hey, you're going the following.
Are you back on the 5th? You here on the 5th? Okay. Very good.
The other option is we do it with one commissioner gone. I'm just asking for confirmation.
oh, that could be.
Yeah. Is Monday the 9th too late, Eric? Because that's the date that they have to be presented.
No, we can prepare that. And what Brett mentioned to me is that, there is an appeal period, but what we've done in the past, we've certified, and then I don't think, it's probably just never happened, that an appeal actually was filed and was successful, and then the assessment had to be taken off. But yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't get it certified the same day, so the 5th or the 9th would.
But theoretically, an appeal today would have the same effect.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
that wouldn't change really.
Correct.
So I'm not sure who can't be there on the 9th.
I think we can all be here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be
Yeah,
around
we
the
can do the 9th of September.
And how is that, another face-to-face meeting like this is?
Yes,
you
uh-huh,
have to put
yes,
up with
it would
us
be the
again.
same.
Is there value in doing it earlier in the day for your benefit and getting the paperwork all processed, or is it for 8:30 versus, I see a nod there, so would it be helpful to do the hearing at 8:30? That's a question.
It's not an issue for me.
No, I know, but is it,
Is
it doesn't make a difference
does it
if we
make-
do,
Yes, absolutely, it would help.
it would help if it's at
I'm not trying to be a troublemaker. but-
8:30 versus 10.
What is the 5th date? I didn't quite understand the, you had mentioned September 5th for something, and I don't know what that was.
Just as a possible meeting date. There is no meeting on Labor Day, which is the 2nd, so in order to have the action taken before the certification deadline for the special assessments, it would either need to be, since we aren't meeting next Thursday, or Labor Day, the 5th or the 9th are the only two options.
You're meeting next Thursday?
There is no meeting next Thursday.
Oh, there is none next Thursday,
Correct.
pardon me.
Why don't we, we could even push session back till 10 o'clock on the 9th. Would that be a problem?
How was that?
So we could have the hearing like
You
at
still do the
9.
session, you just do the hearing first.
Yeah,
And then recess until session
Yeah.
starts.
okay, well, let's go with 8:30
Just
then
a
on the
suggestion, I'm
9th.
just trying to.
You would basically be changing the time of your regular meeting to
Yeah,
8:30 on
okay.
that day. Just for clarity, you would not be having two separate meetings. You would just start your session on that day at
And
8:30.
we start with the hearing theoretically.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So you start the session at 8:30. Gotcha.
Yep.
And
Okay.
do the hearing first.
And then do the hearing first. Okay. Okay.
That's just a suggestion,
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a
yeah.
good idea. It's-
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So on the 9th, if I may,
Monday,
you
right.
want a go or no-go decision, is that correct?
Pardon?
You want an acceptance from us or on the
No.
project?
We'll offer you the chance to make any statements, pro or con, on
Thank you.
that date.
All right, thank you.
Provide any extra testimony, ultimately, it'll be our
It'll-
decision based on
Right.
what we hear.
It'll be what we
I understand.
Just trying
decide.
to-
We're just trying to accommodate you
Okay,
so you can
thank
go
you.
back to your membership.
I was making.
Yeah,
a poor-
we
I was
will
making a
need-
poor assumption there.
Yeah, yeah. But yes, you will have the chance to say, I think it's a good idea, I don't think it's a good idea.
We all think it's a good idea. We
Yeah,
all believe
it's
it's a
just-
good idea.
yeah, whether you
When we
wanna-
When we first presented this to the community,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer, Ron, go ahead and do it. But that was at a much lower level of assessment, so.
Yeah. Well, I think we moved on. Let's go with then on the
Need
8:30
a resolution.
on September 9th. Okay.
Resolution number 19-830, in the matter of continuing the public hearing for the Homestead at Cider Reserve Section 1 Drainage Maintenance Improvement Project until Monday, September 9th at 8:30 a.m.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-830. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I believe you need to adjourn back into executive?
We do.
Resolution number 19-831, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of employment, promotion of a public employee or public official for collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-831. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We're in executive. Resolution number 19-832, in the matter of adjourning out of executive session.
So, second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-832. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Second, yes, I'll second it too.
We are now adjourned.
I'll just keep-
Talking about our